In this video, we are going to try to install Oracle 21C on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And as you know, we are not using CentOS now, since for the developers, Red Hat subscription is free now. So instead of using CentOS, we can use it straight on the Red Hat platform. So let's go ahead and dive in. Previously we had installed 19C on CentOS, so there will be similarities, few differences, but frankly speaking, everything else is nearly the same thing. We have to follow the same steps. Instead of using the automated pre-install checks, we are going to do it manually. That's why we are going to upgrade first here. Let's update the system, and you see our system name is localhost.local domain. We will try to change that, and of course we won't be having to use localhost.local domain all the time. I'm going to change it and make it maybe Oracle Box. How about that? Good name, no? So let's see if we can work on that and get our box renamed, instead of having it localhost.local domain. And we just come here to this folder and etc host name, and just enter what we want as host name. As I said, I want to call it Oracle Box. Okay, you can call it whatever you want. So we save that and we exit our VI editor. And once we have that, now if we run our hostname CTL, we will find out that we have Oracle Box. And in our etc hosts, we have now to replace all instances of localhost.local domain with Oracle Box. So that's what I'm going to do here. So we are on the same page with all the namings in this box. There you go. I save that and I exit the editor, and we have to just restart the computer and come back as I did, and while I stopped the recording, and we are back here. We are logged in as root, and we go to this ifconfig folder and check our IP address. And this is I'm from the DMZ zone here, so military zone. Let's make it that, and we edit our etc host and add our IP address for our Oracle Box in there before we continue. Okay, so etc hosts, and then we add the line here, and we put our IP address. See here, insert here, and our IP address. And for the local box, we call Oracle Box. Go ahead. So IP address and host name. There you go. Put the IP here and the host name. Oracle Box. We save that and we exit our editor. So far so good. So we have now to disable the transparent use pages in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. Okay, that is located on the syskernel transparent use pages. We have to make sure that it is marked never, but it will show always here now. So let's go ahead and check. You see it says always, that should say never. So we are going to disable those. To do that, we have to edit our grub configurations. So we head to our etc default grub, and we edit that file, and we look for at the end of the line grub command line and so at the end where it says transparent use pages, we add that after quiet and we make it never. And once we do that, we just save it and we close the editor. And now let's generate the grub using grub2 dash make config, and there we are. Since we are done, we have to reboot the system, the box, and come back. We have two ways to do this, but right now I'm just going to use exit and shut it down manually instead of using the command line. And we are back. Would have used systemctl reboot. So after reboot, we can cut our syskernel again and check if what we set is now, the use pages are now set to never, and after that we proceed. Okay, so we have to do this as a root, of course, because we have permissions issue. So let's cut the same file again and see the results. You see now it says never instead of always. So far so good. Okay, now we are going to continue to prepare for the installation. These are manual prep installation. If you have Oracle Linux with a subscription, you can use the automatic pre-install scripts. But we don't need that. We can just go ahead and use our manual methods we have been using from 12C. And we did it on 18C, and now we are doing it on 19. We did it on 19C also. We're doing the same thing in 21C. So we are going to edit this file, etc.ctl.d/98-oracle.config, and we are going to add these. If you need this, you can always pause and get the information. I can also give you a text file if somebody requests it. And once we have this entry, we just exit it, save the changes, and you can source it actually, but we will reboot the computer later. And now we are going to proceed to add the groups So we are going to add group O install, group DBA, group operator, and then we add the user called Oracle. So Oracle will be the user for this Oracle database settings. So we are going to add a user called Oracle. Once we add that, we have to assign him a password. Once Oracle has its own password, from now on we make us log in as Oracle and work on this box. Okay, so another step is to SC Linux has to be set to permissive. Once we finish the password here for Oracle, that setting will be on the etc/sclinux/config file. You can go there and set SC Linux to permissive. Okay, and once we finish that, we are nearly halfway through these steps. These steps we have been doing now, and there you go. You see where it says SC Linux, it says enforcing. We have to change that and make it called permissive. So once we insert that and make permissive, we can exit and enforce it. Okay. There you go. Making it permissive instead of enforcing. These are steps we do on these manual installations of. We are preparing the box for the installation. That's fine. So now we just enforce this as a set enforce permissive, and if we run that, we'll be done on that, and then we head to the firewalls. We have to stop the disable the firewalls during this installation. Okay, so we have this command systemctl stop firewall D, and then systemctl disable firewall D. Okay, now we have to add some entries to our sbin cctl oracle.conf. Okay, this will be for the user Oracle. Okay, so these are few entries you'll have to make in there. Okay, let's see here. Now we make go to the editor and see if we can enter these few lines for Oracle. Okay, I'm going to paste these lines, and once we paste them, we can save and exit. Okay, there you are. and we save and exit. And once we finish that, we are going to run a lot of another script here. These are required to get the box going. It's a long one. I'm going to copy and paste this entry. See. See here. Okay, I'm just closed and came back and log in now, and running again some of the scripts. We are nearly there, and as a root, of course. This will be a long one, so I'm going to copy and paste this entry, and once I paste this one and run it, we are going to start making the directories for our installation. And once we, there you go, and once we make the directories, we are nearly at the beginning of the installation. Just export environment variables and we will be all set. So right now we are going to add install directories, and at this part here was a small conflict because I mentioned 19.3 here, but I'm going to change it later, make it 20.3, 21.3, because we are not installing 19C now, we are installing 21. So I'm going to change that, and that may run me into trouble later, but I'm going to change that and make sure that I'm going to the 21.3C. Okay, so let's change the mode, change ownership and all that. And once we do that, we are getting ready to roll. Let's log in now as Oracle. Actually, we need to log in as Oracle because right now we are going to start our Oracle installation. We cannot do it as other person, we do it as Oracle. So let's use our Oracle user we set up and start rolling. So we have to set the background for our Oracle user, make it same as the other guy. So that's fine. That's just that's not part of the installation, but I like it better that way. So feel free to put the background you want. So as Oracle, we are going to configure the environment variable for this user. This is where we set the variables and export them, like host name and unique name, Oracle base, Oracle home, and all that, DB, PDB name, pluggable database. This is where we set it here, so the user will be able to use it later. So we are going to change some stuff here, where it says export Oracle host name. Now you know that we set it to Oracle box, huh? So we write Oracle box, and we want to have it at 21.3.0, not 19.3.0. Later I'm going to go and update the directory for that, because otherwise it won't work. It will be pointing to something that does not exist. Okay, so let's say 21.3 here. There you go, and everything else should be fine. All I have to do is to save and exit on this one. Okay, save and exit, and the box is getting ready. Okay, and from now on we are really starting to rock, and we source this file, of course. So we source this file, and then we are ready to run the installer. And to run the installer, we have to go back to CD to Oracle Home and unzip our file. We see the errors because of the, what I call it, the DB Home issue. So that I'm going to correct that. I'm going to correct the folder and the stuff, and then make sure that I'm pointing to the right directory, otherwise I won't be able to unzip these files. Okay, so far we have not gotten DB Home. Now I'm there, I'm right there now, but what we need is to get our Oracle installer, Oracle file, the database itself, and have it unzipped to our folder here. You see Linux .x64 underscore 21 3000 underscore db underscore home zip. We are unzipping it to our Oracle DB Home folder. So once we have that, we will run the installer. So that is taking some time to unzip, but that's fine. It's part of the job. And once we finish the unzipping, we are ready to run the installer. So let's try to run the installer now. You see, we are all there, and I wanted to stop the file here, but I'm just continuing. It's a little long, but let's finish the installation. It won't take long now. I'm signing back in as an Oracle user, and going to the DB Home, Oracle DB Home, and then launching the installer again. There you go. So go to Oracle Home and // run installer, and we run our installation. The installation actually will be similar to the one we did in 19C. All the steps should be similar. Only thing here, what I noticed, I was not prompted to install the sample schema, and I'm going to use it after the installation. This is the same steps we did before. So all these steps, we have seen them with 19C videos, and I'm just going to zap through these and make our installation, and just keep this one as default. Keep it as default, and general purpose. I'm going to use that one for. So okay. We may get some issues with the swap file as all installations, but it's easy. It's a small script you could run to increase your swap file to pass through this, and later you can turn it off if you want, but not a big deal. If you see that, just check some online information and it will be easy to fix. So let's give this a common password here and pass, and give them all the same thing here, and continue the installation. And you see here I was fixing the swap file issue that came up, but right now we are ready to install this thing, and we just hit install. And once we finish the installation, we are ready to start using our Oracle database in this box. And these are things we've seen before. We just have to go and install SQL Developer also. You know, I like to add the SQL Developer, not the one that came with the Oracle database. I want the latest SQL Developer. I think it is 21 now. And after this installation, I'm going to install SQL Developer and start rolling. So as you can see in another video, it will be a very short video. I will be installing SQL Developer and connecting to the databases. Of course, we don't have the sample schema, so I will have to install the schema. We did it in the 19C, so it will be again the same thing, because from 12C upwards they are practically using the same samples. So we are going just to use the same scripts we used before to install those samples in this box. Otherwise everything is fine, and we are ready to roll. So these two scripts, we have to run them as a root to get us going. But there you go, as a root here you can just paste that script, each of them, and they'll be ready to go. There you go. About the other one. There you go. We just added that script here, and we finish running. And once we finish that, it will be accepting the defaults here, and everything will be fine. And we just hit OK here, and we are good to go. It will finish installation, and this box is ready to use this Oracle database 21C, and we can go ahead and work on it. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and there wasn't much difference between this one and the 19C. Only thing the videos we made was on CentOS, and this one is Red Hat Enterprise Linux, since now we have the free subscriptions as a developer. So I hope I see you in the next video for completing installation of the other items. Thank you for watching.